Big Blue Button is a collaborative conferencing platform that's very similar to Adobe Connect, aside from a few visual differences. So today we're going to go through how to set up a Big Blue conference and how to actually participate in the Big Blue conference with your students. The major benefit about Big Blue Button is that it is now embedded directly into Schoology into each and every course. So when you open up a course, you don't have to add Big Blue Button, you don't have to provide a link for students and tell them to log in as a guest, enter their first name, last initial, any of that. All they have to do is access the course. So if you notice the tab toward the bottom, Big Blue Button Conference, you'll simply select that and it'll take you to this page. Okay, I've already created a conference, but I just wanted to show you what this would look like if you were going to add a conference. So first you'll see there's an active tab and a completed tab. Active means conferences that are either scheduled or currently in progress. The completed tab shows conferences that have already occurred, and you'll see no recordings found for this conference. That means that I chose not to record those, and they were all samples. If I were to record a conference, when this came up, I would then see the title linked. I would click on the link and that would take me to the recording. So that's what the students would see. So if you go to active, first I just want to show you how to create a new conference. You simply click Create New Conference and you title it Conference Sample 2. You provide the date and the time. You can add an end time. All you do is click Create. So again, this sample 1 is already in progress, and I'm going to go to that in a minute. You see that this is how I would end the conference. The new one that I've set up is not linked, so I can't click on this, which means that the conference has not started yet. It still says the time, status not started. I would simply click Start Conference in order to begin that conference. Over here, the gear allows you to edit, and that's simply edit the title or the time, or delete. So for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to delete this conference so I don't confuse myself. So right now I have this conference in progress. I'm going to go into the conference just by clicking that. And then it asks me how I want to join. I, as the instructor, will always join using the microphone. Now, something to remember, students also receive this option. So each student can enter using the microphone. If your live session is strictly supposed to be informative in terms of instructor to student information without any verbal feedback from students, you would ask them in your update in Schoology to enter as listen only. And they would select listen only. You are going to select microphone, and it may ask you to use your microphone. You're going to click allow. So I have an audio test. Sorry, my headphones are echoing because of the audio test. Yes, I hear my audio. And then what I also enjoy about Big Blue Button is that it tells you immediately that you have the option to record. So I click OK, and I'm going to record just so I don't forget. Are you sure you want to start recording? Yes. So what I see here is a student that has entered the course. Now I already had that student in the course. The students can't enter it until you start the conference. So you'll notice under the status bar, that little presentation simply means that you're the presenter. Okay, and then we have the media tool. So I have the microphone, and that means that I'm able to speak. So if you notice, as I'm talking, there's a certain glow about the microphone. If I were to stop talking, that glow would go away. So you saw that. See, now it's back. Now it's stopped. Okay, so that just kind of helps you check to make sure that that your microphone is actually receiving the information. So if you want to mute yourself, you simply click the microphone and you can mute, unmute. You can also do that at the top. Okay, so I see my student, and right now I see the speaker next to the student. It looks like that student is having difficulty staying in the course. right there, okay? So that means that the student can hear, that they are in using the audio only. Now, if Lauren were to have the microphone icon next to her name, that would mean that she entered at the beginning where it said microphone or sound only. That would mean that she selected the microphone option. And you can always mute her just by clicking on the microphone. So that wouldn't matter. It's not as if the student could continue talking. You could just mute the student. Okay? A couple of features for the students, some similarities between Big Blue Button and Adobe Connect. This is your status option, so you see the hand, and this is where students would go to raise their hand, and you see that status comes up in the menu. Okay? If I select raise your hand, that simply just selects and deselects. So that's how you go about it. Okay? They can have a happy face, right? So what you have for settings, you can clear all status icons. You can mute all users. You don't want to do that. That might be your first instinct, but that means that you'll mute yourself as well. So what you can do, if for whatever reason there's an issue, some students add microphones, or maybe you're having a session where students are in the conference with microphones and you want them to have microphones, but you don't want them talking right now, you can mute all users except presenter, and then that would serve that purpose. Okay, you can lock viewers. I wouldn't recommend this feature. You can lock them so that they stay with microphone or webcam, but I wouldn't even worry about the locking feature. If you were using a webcam, this is where the video would show. And then right here is the actual presentation itself. So in order to upload, you simply go to the bottom, upload presentation, select file, and you would find your file. I'm going to find a PowerPoint. And they do say best practice is to first convert it to a PDF and then upload it, but either one will work. So that after that's uploaded, after it's selected, I'm going to click upload. It's converting, and then I have my presentation. Okay, so I can click through just like I would. With my presentation, I have these different features. So I can pan and zoom if I wanted to, which I'm not going to at the moment. I can use a pencil to circle. I can also change the size of the line. So if I wanted to make it thicker, I could do that. Okay, I have a rectangle. If I wanted to bring the attention, circle, triangle, align, text. Okay, I want to make sure that I make that large enough. Okay. I can clear all annotations if I want to. This would undo maybe one annotation. I can change the color of my annotations, etc., etc. Okay, so those are the basic features. If I wanted to poll students throughout my presentation, what I would do is I would click Start Poll, and then these options come up. So I would have to verbally ask them the question, and then their screens would show the options. So if I wanted to ask a yes/no question, I would select yes/no, and this shows you the live poll results. So as students, so they would basically have an image or a box that pops up and asks them to either select yes or no. They do that, and then you would see the results. So you can either close that if just you want to know that information. If you want other students to know what the results were, you can publish. And then at the bottom of that page, it'll show you what the results were, and it'll show the students what the results were. If you want to use a whiteboard, and so I know many math teachers use whiteboards for their conferences, Big Blue Button, the creators of Big Blue Button tell you to simply keep a saved blank document, blank Microsoft Word document, on your desktop. So what I did, when you're selecting your file, I have my desktop, I have my blank document. If you upload that, that's your whiteboard. So it's kind of a roundabout way to get your whiteboard, but you still have your whiteboard. and I'm not good at this. I'm not going to pretend that I am, but you could go on and do that. And again, you have that poll option. Okay, and you can also change the zoom if you want to. Over here on the right, we have our chat. So we have a public chat, and this is where the students would all see the information. And so you notice this does say Caitlin Elliott. You can't change it necessarily to Miss Elliott. So it'll just keep your name in Schoology, and that's how the students will be recognized as well. So because it's through Schoology, you'll just see their names. So you do have options. If students are in the chat and let's say one student is getting off task and you don't necessarily want to call that student out in front of the students, you can simply select the student's name. Let me just show you that again. And then it automatically opens up a new chat. And I could just send Lauren a message. Please refrain from. And she's the only one that could see that. Okay? But then you still have your public option. So that's the basic gist. When you are, something that I do want to make sure you're aware of, you definitely want to use Firefox, Mozilla Firefox, if you plan on sharing your desktop. If you don't, then Chrome or Safari would be just fine. But you'll definitely want to use Firefox because you'll notice what happens, and this was something that we learned in error. So if I want to share my desktop, Chrome no longer supports Java applets. You must use a different web browser. Firefox recommended to share your desktop. So if you forget to do this live in the session, I'm going to just show you what I did. This is just kind of a quick and dirty way to solve this. So I'm currently in Chrome. I'm going to open Firefox. Okay, I'll have to log in, go to my course, big blue button. Okay, so what I'm going to do is quickly log out here. It's not going to remove the other students. Yes, I want to log out. And then I'm going to log in. I'm going to enter here. Okay, so you're still the presenter. Alrighty, it'll have you go through the audio test, but you're still the presenter. Okay, and then what you would do is share your desktop. So let's say you remember to do Firefox from the beginning, and you want to share your desktop. For whatever reason, the best way, the easiest way to, and this may be different depending on your computer settings. But what I have found with my computer settings is I have to open full screen, and then I see allow this to run Java, and I'm going to select allow. Adobe allow and remember, allow now. For Java, just allow now. Okay. And then, if you wait a little bit, okay, it's going to ask you, do you want to run this application? I'm going to say run. You are now sharing your desktop, okay? And then I can see what I'm doing there. Alrighty, so you can share your desktop. Once you're, and that you can close your screen share, or you can just minimize it if you don't want to look at that right now, and you can open that up here. Okay, so I just closed my screen sharing. So those are the basics behind Big Blue Button. I will be posting more documents and help for students and instructors as we move forward, but this is just to kind of get your feet wet. Feel free to play around with the tools before the next session begins, and enjoy using Big Blue Button.